How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? Good afternoon, every single person in the room. Big up to all of you watching this on catch up. Big up to all of you for being here. Make sure you like and you subscribe. It's only us three for the moment. We have got Martin, we have got Flawless, and we have got Daniel joining us. They're unfortunately a little bit late from their lunch, but they are joining very soon. But we've got the main man in the house, Lee Judges, and Henry from Henry Talks Football, who at the moment is looking very miserable. And I don't think there's any other place to start other than asking how our good friend Henry is, Lee, because I'm worried about him. You know, yesterday he told me he went to go and watch a really bad film at the cinema, which, funny enough, is called Joker. I mean, you could not make it up. You could not make it up.
These old women's winding him up.
Oh, Henry. I watched that game yesterday and I thought, wow. Do you know what I did? I jinxed it. And I didn't do it on purpose either. I genuinely was impressed with Tottenham in the first half. I texted the group and I said, you know what? Actually, they're playing well. I'm thinking they're looking the best side. Fair play to Ange, 5-5. Brendan Johnson, 6-6. Maybe he can turn it around. Oh, I spoke too soon, man. The second half was one of the worst, abysmal showings of football that I've seen in a long time. And I really enjoyed that second half. I mean, Lee, how did you enjoy that second half? Let me ask you, Judges. You watched it. Did you enjoy the second half?
A thing of beauty it was, like, you know, I put my feet up, got my popcorn out, and just enjoy it. Listen, I'm going to be really honest. I'm with you, Dan. 2-0. I'm watching it, and I've turned it off. I'm watching the old, getting ready for the Washington Commandos. They're playing. They're in fantastic form. Going to watch the NFL, and that's my plans. My phone goes, and they've just kicked off second half 2-1. I thought, oh, hold on. I can miss a bit of the old Washington. I think, right, and I'll put it back on. It was the best 45 minutes of my life. And it was unbelievable. Because once it went 1-2-1, it was only one team. When it went 2-2, you just knew what was coming. You listen to that. Then for it to be Danny Welbeck, you know, you couldn't have asked for nothing better. Poor Ange got wet in the rain, or was he getting? I don't know if it was raining there or whatever. It looks very dim and damp there, like, you know. And listen, I've been speaking to a couple of my Spurs mates today. They're back on there, you know. 1 minute it's Ange in, 1 minute it's Ange out. I don't know what's going on, like, you know. And listen, credit to Brighton, but what happened in that second half, I'll never know. And Spurs were just completely off of it in the second half. But it must be frustrating being a Spurs fan. I was talking to him. He said, my mate turned around to me today, and this is what he said. He goes, I hate being a Spurs fan. I wish I supported Newcastle, Orient, anybody but Spurs, because they just put you through the ringer. And I couldn't help but laugh. I was laughing at him. I just couldn't help it. But listen, I'm going to say big up to Henry, because if it was me, I just wouldn't bother coming out. I would just be watching reruns of Glory, Glory, Tottenham Hotspur in the 80s. But I'll tell you, there you go. But fair play to him.
Mate, fair play to you, Henry. Look, man, you're quite real about your club. You don't sit there and start giving absolute waffle. What did you make of that football game yesterday, my bro?
I thought the first half was probably the best first half of football we played. Should have been 1-0 up in 20 seconds. If Timo Werner gets that pass right, Brandon Johnson's got a tap in. Brandon Johnson's got 6-6 now, so you know he's in good form. Maddison gets his shot away. Keeper probably should have saved that, but I get to the end of the first half, and I'm like, right, this is going to be 3 or 4. Like, we've got our tails up. We're they're a wounded animal. And Fabian Hertzler says the team talk of dreams. They come out 3 minutes later, and as soon as it went 2-1, I said to the lads in my group chat, we ain't winning this. We've got a soft underbelly. We've always had it. We always will have it. We've lost the most games in the Premier League history from being 2-0 up. And if you look at that performance, that is the saying, a game of two halves, is pinpoint for that game. The stuff we played in the first half was magnificent. They didn't lay a glove on us, really. Welbeck had a chance from about 6-7 yards out. But other than that, Mitoma looked average. Second half, Mitoma looked like prime Son running at us.
He was incredible.
Shoulder, getting in behind. Complete capitulation. Absolute fucking bottle jobs, a lot of them. That performance, Bentancur in the second half was useless. Udogie should have been hooked off in the 55th minute. I don't think you can blame Ange for those defensive errors. But I think what you can critique Ange for is he should have made subs earlier. When you can see the game's they've got all the momentum. That's when you need a bit of game management to slow the game down. If that's Arsenal, City, or Liverpool when they're 2-1 down, they don't lose that game. It's as simple as that. Arsenal have been 1-0 down as well as City have this weekend. Both teams won. Chelsea come back, should have beat Forest, and they went 1-0 down. We were absolutely diabolical that second half, and we're now sitting 9th. You know, if we won yesterday, we would have been up to 6th. We've got West Ham next. I'll be honest, I think we should be battering them. I'm not going to lie to you. I think we should be putting 3 or 4 past them because they are still diabolical. But, you know, I've said this for years now. We just need a bit of consistency in this football club. You get 3 or 4 wins, then we lose. 3 or 4 wins, then we lose. We played 7 and won 3. I just don't understand. There's a weak underbelly at this football club, and it's never going to change. The only way it changes is if the hierarchy changes the mentality of the football club. You know, mate, it's fucking diabolical. 2-0 up. You're in absolute cruise control. And then you hit a bloody bullard and the car rolls over. It's an absolute disgrace. That second half is unacceptable from everyone on that pitch. No one in that second half was good. The only player I think can come off that pitch in the second half and actually hold his head high was Dominic Solanke. He's the only one that was actually doing his job. But he didn't get any service, did he? Does anyone remember him having a shot?
No, I don't know.
He set up the goal, didn't he? That was it.
Sorry?
Set up the goal, that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah, lovely little ball through to Johnson, and Johnson finishes it. But it's another game where, you know, like I just said, Werner can't cross a road. Kulusevski and Maddison were really good in the first half. The second half were absolutely diabolical. You know, and we got City twice next in our next 7 games in the League Cup and in the league. We've got Villa in the league. I know our reaction to our fan base is. I said Ange out 3 or 4, maybe 5, 6 games ago because I could see that the game management in this manager is nowhere. It's not good enough. And yesterday, I don't think that defeat is 100% on him. He can't. What is Romero and Van der Ven doing? What the fuck is that, mate? Like masterclass against Man United, closing the game, managing the game out. Van der Ven running 6 yards of the ball. That game, he couldn't run a bath. We looked absolutely hopeless at times in defence. The ball went into the box. Danny Welbeck, he's on 33 or 34, and he's still dunking on us. Danny flipping Welbeck, mate. You know, gets a free header. It's the same thing we've seen all season. Vardy gets a free header against Leicester. Gabriel gets a free header against Arsenal. Newcastle. You're like, it's the same old crap. Not good enough. Absolutely terrible second half. I just don't understand how a team can be that good and that bad in the same game of football. Like, that's
Mate,
what I can't get through.
I look at your back line and I just think, I was told this back line's better than Arsenal's. We've got all 5 Tottenham players getting ahead of Arsenal in combined 11s a few weeks ago when we had you. Who was it who went on Saturday Social, Lee, and did that? Can't remember. Was it Flav? He went on there and said, the back 5 of Tottenham is better than the back 5 of Arsenal. Well, I'm sorry, mate. Pelro was a disaster yesterday. Udogie has the worst game I've seen, and I'm actually a fan of him, but he was a shambles. And this Van der Ven, if he didn't have pace, I don't think he'd even be a footballer, mate, because he was shocking yesterday getting spun. Romero again, poor. I don't get what the hype is with this guy. I think he's an okay defender. I don't look at him and go, wow, you're world class. But some of the Tottenham fans do. And yet again, they just prove why they can't defend as a unit. Now, I wanted to ask you, Henry, because this super chat's come in from Suj. Big up, Suj. Australian as well, says, I was going to say we should take the high road and not troll Spurs, but the only thing high is the line Big Ange uses. Time for Ange to come home. Now, look, I don't know if you think that this is still the case, but I believe that back line is nowhere near as bad as actually it should be. But this Ange seems to want to put it up as high as possible and just allow things to get really nasty. Now, I don't think yesterday it was particularly always high line. I think Brighton definitely have a high line too. Sometimes it's part of the game. We've seen it with Emery as well, right? But Ange Postecoglou's got to look at himself yesterday. He seems obsessed with taking Maddison off. It's the only thing he knows how to do. He's one of your best players, in my opinion. I still rate him. He seems obsessed with taking him off. Every substitution, you know what's happening. He's coming off. Big up, Flawless. I think when you look at it, right, real talk, I do not understand where this manager's going. And what really frustrated me as a Spurs, if I was a Spurs fan, I would sit there listening to him when the interviewer says, what do you think about this game then? Because you've got 2 teams that play a very attractive style of play. Yep, that's what we'll be doing. What about going for a plan B? No, we'll be playing expansive, attractive football. So basically, he's admitting he's got no other way of playing and he doesn't want to play another way. That would worry me, Henry, big time, man.
Yeah, it does. When Ange gets it right and we win games, we look very good. We looked very good against United. You know, we've looked good in other games this season. Battered Everton. I know it's only Everton, but we looked good. When there's a manager who's got a level of cohesion and an eager and a willingness to succeed. Fabian Hurts, he's 31, by the way. He's got a point off Arsenal and he's beaten Spurs in his last 3 games. And they should have beaten Forest. He's 31. He's 6 years younger than James Milner, who's the midfielder in that team. But he's got... How can he, who's such an inexperienced coach, figure us out like that? I'd expect the Joses and the Peps and the Klopps, but he's 31. And he figured out, well, if there's a high line, this is the way we're going to beat it. And to be fair, Brighton got stung against Chelsea because they tried the same sort of thing. They tried this high line and Chelsea punished them. You know, Palmer has one of the best halves of football you're ever going to see. But that was absolutely diabolical. And you're right, there's no plan B, which tells me these 5 wins we've had, to a degree, it's a very good run of games, but we nearly bottled it against the Hungarian Ferner Ravos, whatever they're bloody called. They had some good chances in that second half. We beat Karabag, fair enough, with 10 men, but we should be beating Karabag, right? We beat Brentford. That was a very even game, right? Brentford are a good side. And we've just beaten... we beat Man United. Dan's 10 men, but let's be honest, Man United right now are in the pits. And we come up against Brighton, who have got a manager who's... How at half-time does he do that team talk and then we fall apart? I'd expect a response from Brighton, but the manager's team talk is ringing in your ears. 3 or 4 minutes later, they score. And as soon as they scored, every single rival fan or Tottenham fan or football fan all over the planet knew that game was not over and we would crumble. Now, it's not an Ange problem. It's not a Jose problem. It's not a Conte problem. Our fans are calling for Poch back yesterday.
Yeah, I heard that. Deji said that. Deji went get me Poch.
I wasn't even
This as
Deji.
well, Henry. This as well, mate. So this is the 10th time Spurs have lost a Premier League game in which they led by 2 goals. The first club to hit double figures for this. I mean, he's breaking records now, Ange. Obviously, they're not all Ange Postecoglou, but that is not a record you want. When you go 2-0 up, right, and we had this the other day against Leicester, I thought, how are we doing this? And obviously, we went and then convincingly beat them in the end by the scoreline, even though the game weren't too convincing at times. But Tottenham Hotspur, mate, I just don't know where you go from here. I think Daniel Levy is a lot to blame. He's more interested in bringing in revenue from F1 and concerts and AJ and bloody NFL than he is actually taking Tottenham to the next level. I understand he's done a lot of good at Tottenham, and trust me, he has. When they get to Champions League finals in title races and have a beautiful stadium, you've got a lot to thank him for. But actually, where's the next level? Where's the ambition for him to go to that next level? There ain't none. It's non-existent from him, man. But having said that, you've spent a lot of money onto this guy, man.
Yeah.
400 million euros that this guy has spent, which is half of what Arteta's had in 5 years. And you're telling me that you can't get any higher than what we're looking at. 7th place at the moment.
And you won an FA Cup and you've been in 2 title races. The last thing I say, because I know Lee wants to get in, but...
Yeah, I do want to get in.
You can't blame Daniel Levy. You can't blame Daniel Levy for this. And I've been very consistent on my views on this. You've given him a lot of money, right? Everyone was against the signing of Brennan Johnson, but in the last 6 games or so, everyone's saying there may be a player in there, and he's performing. Right? We bought Van der Ven, who's a good defender. In this system, he's woeful at times. Romero, who's a good defender, yesterday looked not even a good footballer, let alone a good defender. You've given him £400 million. If we do another 400 million, we would have spent more than pretty much any team in the league other than Chelsea by that point. And Chelsea, you can already see what Enzo Maresca's plan is. With us, the plan is Ange ball. There's no plan B. So when that doesn't work, we're screwed. But I don't think you can blame Daniel Levy at the moment for the current squad of players, because every player that's coming through the door, Ange is giving the approval for. Like Timo Werner, let's be honest, we all know he's not good enough. But he can beat a player. He just can't put the ball in the box. But we have no other choice to play him because Odegaard and Son are both injured. We played 3 games now without Son. But I don't think you can blame Daniel Levy for the amount of money he spent. You can blame Daniel Levy for the fact we haven't won a trophy in 17 years, by all means, you know. But this football squad is more than good enough to go and keep out a 2-0 lead at Brighton. Look at the difference. Leicester bounce back. You go and get 2 goals in injury time. Fulham go 1-0 up at the Etihad. City bounce back. That's the difference in Chelsea go 1-0 down. They should have won that game. Not on the first of good chances, but they got something out of it. We're 2-0 up and somehow lose 3-2.
Mate, in a matter of 20 minutes as well, Lee, in the second half.
Yeah, listen, I hear what Henry's saying and all that. Like, I do believe he was 1-0 down against Brentford and come back and won. Like, and no one then is criticising Daniel Levy. No one is saying it's Levy's fault. I didn't hear no one say it was Levy's fault when he beat Man United and pumping them. Like, now I know, like, and on at half time, no one's blaming Daniel Levy for what was a masterclass performance. But I can tell you this now. In the dressing room, what is Ange saying at half time there? Right, keep it tight. They're going to come out. They're going to change it around. They're going to come at us first 10 minutes. Keep it tight at the back. My dad, God bless him, when he managed, like, you know what I mean, like 0-0 at half time. It's 0-0, lads. 0-0. We used to take the mickey out of him. It's 0-0. Like, you know what I mean. Don't let them back in the game. Right. I don't think that was still echoing in that dressing room when he walks out. Before he sits on the bench, they're 2-1. You know what I mean? That's not down to the manager. That's not down to the owners. That is down to the players. And everybody like keeps going on about it. Like this Van der Ven is the best thing since sliced bread and things like that. Like, well, I'm sorry. When you're 2-0 up, that is when your defenders come in and do their job. That's when they come in there. I remember years ago, Chelsea, you know what I mean? Like, would be they get 1-0 up, and you could see John Terry and Carvalho rubbing their hands. Right, this is where I earn my money now. This is when it's my turn to do the business. Same with like Arsenal players. Like I look at Arsenal now and go, back in the day, right, this is where we earn our corn. 2-0 up, you're then looking at the defenders then to see out the game defensively and all that, like, What happens? The ball goes down the left-hand side. They let a cross in. There's 2 missed kicks and they have a tap in. Not good enough. And that ain't the owner's fault. That's just poxy defending. And then they let a player go through the middle, cut inside, bang, goal. And then the third goal, I urge you to look at it. You know what I mean? Like, the cross comes in. They're just both standing there and watching Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck moves and they go, oh, my God. You know what I mean? Don't even see the danger of what's going on, and another little tap in, like, And I don't give a whether it's a high line or it's Ange's tactics. It's, can I say this, piss poor defending by the best central defender in the world, followed by the World Cup winner, the best right back in the Premier League, and the best left back in the league. So is it the goalkeeper's fault for not being it? Because he's not quite, he's about the third best goalkeeper in the Premier League, according to Spurs fans. So I'm not having it. I'm not having it, like, And yeah, I look at it like, a little bit of, I'll give a little bit of information, give you a little bit of advice, old Van der Ven. You think you're the best defender in Europe and in the world. Stay on your feet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, good defenders don't get no mud on them. You know what I mean? Like, he was slipping and sliding, diving and all that. Like, the reason that is because he's got this pace and he uses it to his thing. If he didn't have no pace, he'd be playing in the Ryman 1 league. There you go. Because he can't defend set pieces. He ain't a great defender. His pace gets him out of it. And I'll tell you what, if Tino Werner didn't have pace, he'd be up at 8 o'clock this morning on the building site. I'll tell you that now, like,
He is an absolute shambles, man. Flawless, man. You've been sitting there patiently. Your club's normally in the mud. It's not going to be this weekend too much, man. You got a point at Villa Park. I'm going to let
and
you
a
off.
good point, by the way.
Wow.
That ain't easy to go there. Easy to go to Villa Park. I don't think there's not being much made of that. I think everybody expected Villa to win that game. So I think Man United have to take a little bit of credit considering they got smashed and pumped the week before. So I don't think you can really criticise too much. Look, listen, most teams go to Villa Park and get a draw, particularly on the back of the Bayern Munich one, Dan. I think it's a little bit harsh, but mind you, Rashford should have been sent off.
Fair play.
Oh, that was a booking. The second challenge. Using that as a booking.
Nailed on. Do you know what that is, mate? Because he's just no attempt to go for the ball. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can see why they've let him off, but realistically, that is a booking.
Yeah, fair enough. If he would have got booked, it would have been on him. 110. I thought the ref was gonna send him off when he was like calling him over and he's
Yeah.
like shooing all the other players away. I thought he could have got booked. So yeah,
I like the way. To be honest, I think there should be that little bit more leniency when you're on there's a sort of unwritten rule, but you got to do that all the way through the league, through it. And I felt it was probably a booking, if I'll be honest.
Yeah, he is.
Man,
If he would have got sent off, he would have no complaints. But yeah, go on, Potts.
No, we'll come to that, man, because I've got thoughts on United and Villa quickly. But look, man, I've got to ask you, what are your thoughts on Spurs? But I want to ask you a question. Would you rather have Anthony or Timo Werner in your side?
This guy, that's a terrible question. That is a terrible, just two awful players. Just too awful, both of them. Like both just so bad. Like thankfully Werner played against us, so it would have been more. Because if that was Son, it could have been curtains the other week. But yeah, Anthony's also woeful as well. Both of them bad.
Yeah, man. What are you saying about Spurs yesterday? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did watch the game. Yeah. I did watch the game. First half, they were good. Like Spurs, one thing about Spurs, they're always gonna be entertaining. Always, all the time. Because even though they was 2-0 up and played well, Brighton had chances in the first half. And the way that Brighton play, you're gonna get chances, and the way that Spurs play, you're gonna get chances. So I knew it was gonna be a good game to watch. That's why I was like, I'm definitely gonna watch this. And Spurs were the better side in the first half, deservedly up 2-0, but Welbeck missed a couple of chances. I think Minty, he missed one as well. And I think everybody knew. Henry probably has said this before I got on, and that the game was far from over. Everyone, even in my chat, I was doing a watch along in the comment section saying, hey, this game is not over. And as soon as Brighton scored that first goal, everyone knew, I think, what was on the cards, more than likely. And the fact that Brighton won the game is not a shock. You put the stat up, what is it, 10 plus times Spurs have led the game by 2 or plus more goals and have lost the game. And I understand what Ange is saying in regards to, all right, I want to play a certain way. But you can still play a certain way, but tweak it. Just tweak the game. Like, why not throw one at that point 2-0 up? You got Basuma and Sarr on the bench. You're not playing Manchester United this week, who are toothless up top. You know Brighton can score goals. They can create and they can score. So why not throw one of them or both of them on, even if you play the same way, just to add some defensive cover? And even in the second half, Spurs did miss chances as well. But and you have to adapt. Stick to your principles, but adapt in game. Sometimes be a little bit more defensive, but you can still go forward, or sometimes be a little bit more offensive. So that's my thoughts on it. But Ange, if you don't adapt, you're going to continue to get results like this, and the pressure is going to continue to build. And then you're a few results away from people talking about, whether he should be sacked or not.
They're already talking about it now. That's the thing. That second half was set up for Tottenham to play counter-attacking football, because Brighton were going to come on to us, and with the pacing behind of Werner and Johnson and Solanke, it was set up for us perfectly to play counter-attacking football. But we should have been 4-0 up in that first half. Like, all jokes aside, we should have been 1-0 up in 20 seconds. Right, Johnson takes his chance, Maddison takes his chance, and we had another one where we just put it narrowly wide. That second half is absolute bottle job of the finest order. Players weren't good enough, and we've got to have serious conversations now. He spent £400 million, and I think you can blame Ange because we haven't got a plan B, but some of the performances for them players. I mean, your doggy, Jesus Christ. They're talking about being the best Italian left back in the world. He's not even the best Italian left back in North London at the moment. All jokes aside, it's not good enough, mate. And it's constantly like that. It's like we're on a bloody roller coaster at Thorpe Park. It's constant, inconsistent, then consistent, then inconsistent. It's a joke.
You know what, right? I actually asked this to Dan because he knows about this bloke more than anyone. If I was a Tottenham fan, I would want my ownership to sack him and bring in Thomas Tuchel, mate. That's what I would want. Because I think Tuchel's got a CV that says I can win stuff. And I think the right sort of club, I say the right club, Spurs weren't the right club for Conte or Jose, but you get what I'm saying. I think Tuchel could actually do a really good job with these players, man. I think he's got a great style. I think he knows how to get the best out of players. He's got a great man management. The fans really liked him at Chelsea. What are you saying, bro?
Yeah, I think we joked about it a few weeks ago, didn't we, that Tottenham would pick up another ex-Chelsea boss. But I do think he'd be perfect, and I almost think it's a bit of a shootout between who gets there first, or United or Spurs. And I think Spurs picked up form probably and killed off that discussion. I think he was obviously linked heavily with United in the last couple of days, I guess, with the Ten Hag thing. But yeah, I think he'd be perfect for Spurs. I feel like he'd make them a little bit more difficult to play against. I think they've got a really, really good set of players. I just think at times Ange's own tactics definitely just aren't helping matters, to be completely honest with you. He's a good coach. I like that he's committed to his ideas, Ange, but I do think he needs to be a little bit more flexible. And Thomas Tuchel is the type of manager that will be flexible in every situation that he comes up against. I think he probably puts Spurs in a position to go and win a trophy and sort of end that long time without one. And he's a good fit, to be honest with you, in my eyes. And I think if Spurs went and got him, it'd be difficult for me to watch. But yeah, I think he'd be a better solution.
You're going to take the job
right now. Yeah, probably. I feel like Spurs is quite an attractive club at the moment to take the role on. You've got a young squad. You've got a great stadium. I think. I just feel like Spurs isn't as unattractive as some people make it out to be. Especially with where Manchester United are and the fact that people don't know what Manchester United is round the corner. If you were to put both side by side, I think you might look at Spurs as moving in the right direction. I mean, it's a gamble, obviously. We've seen Mourinho and Conte take that gamble. One hasn't got another top-flight job since, really, and Mourinho's out in Turkey now. And the other one's now top of the league with Napoli. So it doesn't. If you don't do well, it doesn't necessarily restrict your career as well to something below that level. But yeah, why not? Unless he just felt that the Chelsea thing was too much. But Chelsea's a different club now to the one he was at.
Would you take him, Henry?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, if he's available, and just got us into the Europa League, But we play great stuff, but we're set up perfectly for a back three: Van der Ven, Romero, Dragusin, Porro, and Udogie. I think personally we can see a hell of a lot more goals, and we'll be better tactically. And Thomas Tuchel's we can go into a 4-3-3, we can play a 3-5-2. There's different approaches to games. It's not a constant 4-3-3. I expect Tottenham now to go to every stadium in the Premier League, including the Etihad and Anfield, and have more possession. Because teams will happily say, look, you have the ball, we're just going to counter you and we're going to win the game. But it's having the possession and managing the game out at the same time. That's what we can't do. That's what we should have done yesterday. Brighton get that goal on the 49th minute. If that's Thomas Tuchel, he makes 3 substitutions then and changes the system. We go a little bit more defensively. Like I said, we should have been set up perfectly to go on the counter-attack. Perfectly. You watch Arsenal when they play against Aston Villa, or you watch Chelsea when they go up against Liverpool next game week. It will be, we're going to get you on the counter. With Madueke, with Palmer, with Jackson. With us, we go there to try and get the most perfect goal. It almost reminds me of, when Wenger went for a stage where he tried to pass it in the net. It's got to be such a fantastic move. That's what we're trying to do. If you look at every single goal we've scored, it's always a low cross into the box or a shot from the edge. It's never a ball whipped in, a header. It's never a 1-2 give and go in the box and get the shot away. It's never, we don't score from set pieces. It's always get down to the byline and a low cross for Solanke. But Solanke hasn't got a goal like that yet. So, yeah.
Look, we got to move from Spurs, but I honestly don't see where you go from here with Ange. I think there's going to be too many more results like this. I think he'll stay for a bit longer, and I think you're going to just go trophyless again playing this style of football. I think people are going to get really excited when Tottenham win, but there's going to be games where Tottenham lose. And for me, I would take Tuchel over Ange any day of the week, because Tuchel's got a CV that says I win things at the highest level. I win things with English clubs like Chelsea, Champions League. I mean, you can never forget what he's done there. He's been good everywhere he's gone, to be fair, in my opinion. Obviously, Bayern Munich, that's a brutal club. PSG likewise, but with Dortmund, he was good. And Chelsea, he was good. So, look, man, that's what I would do, and that's what I want if I was a Spurs fan. Go on, Lee.
Yeah, just fine. Just like with Ange, you know what I mean? Like, the change in him is unbelievable in the press conferences and things like that. Don't look no one in the eye, looks down and all that. Like, it's not looking good for him. Like, you know what I mean? It was all that, like, he was quite nice and all that. But I think he's very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Prickly in those sort of things now. And I don't think it's going well for him. I think he's had the press on his side, but I think, like, what I'm seeing now, even the press guys and the media are going to start turning on with the interviews that he's doing. And that I thought, like, you know, the interview yesterday, he never looked at the girl. He never, you know, it just doesn't look right for him at this moment in time. I think, like, you know, they've got a difficult run coming up. If they don't navigate that well, say that they do go out to City, which I don't think they will, by the way, but if they did, and then like lose a few games in there, you know, Crystal Palace away after West Ham, if they was to lose a couple there, I think the pressure would be really, really on him. But
do you think we beat West Ham, Lee? Do you think we beat them?
Yeah.
Our next 6 is West Ham at home, AZ Alkmaar at home in the Europa League, Palace away, City at home in the Cup, Villa at home, and Galatasaray away. We won't beat Galatasaray. I'll tell you that free right now.
You don't need to win those games. You started that off well. So
yeah, but I think if we get a draw, I think we beat AZ Alkmaar and get a draw at Galatasaray.
You take that. I don't think that's it.
Other than City, that's an all right run, Henry.
It's an all right run, but Crystal Palace, I wouldn't say it's an easy game.
Villa's not easy at all.
Villa's not easy.
No, that's tough. Yeah, that's fair.
Those Crystal Palace ones, guys, they're the ones that when you play those teams, you're expected to beat them, and if you don't beat them, you don't get no credit whatsoever. Like, it's a little bit harsh. So, but if you lose to them, oh, it's a disaster. Like, you know what I mean? I think that if they was to lose to West Ham, Henry, then I think there's problems. But I think being at home, that's a nice little fixture to come back to on after international break, in my opinion. So I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. Listen, I've got to move to Chelsea, Dan, very quickly. Yesterday, what happened, bro? I mean, I watched it. You could have won at the end. Forest could have won at the end. They were at 10 men. Yeah, it was. It was the game I should have watched instead of Villa United, because that was a snore fest.
What a game.
But what are you telling me, Dan?
Yeah, to be honest, it was pretty much what I expected. Forest would sit back a little bit deeper than what we've seen in recent games. They were not nearly as open as Brighton. They were way further back towards their own goal. And it made it incredibly difficult for us to play through it. And we struggled at times, like we did last year, against the team in a lower, deeper block. Cole Palmer managed to get himself an assist. Madueke obviously managed to score the goal. Both the keepers had heroics towards the end of the game. Enzo Fernandez flattered to I've forgot the saying, but he he just, I think everyone's expecting a £120 million player there to run the show against the low block, and he didn't. And I think that's a bit of an issue for us, is that we keep sort of persisting with that. And I think Maresca sort of persisted with a style that he probably worked on all week in training, and it wasn't until about the 75th minute that he started to realise that actually wasn't going to be the solution against this resolute Forest side. So, yeah. A tough game, a tough test, probably what I expected. Forest are an incredibly difficult team to play against when they're all up for it, and as Liverpool saw as well. So, yeah, I don't think that'll be the last sort of upset they have this season against a bigger team. But Chelsea need to do better against that style of football, as I said last year, and I'll say it again. I haven't seen enough yet. And Cole Palmer, I mean, the way he sort of adapted his game yesterday is what I was hoping to see. Some of his passes to allow the runners in behind were unbelievable. There was a different side of his game that I feel like we're going to see more of, the more teams set up against Chelsea in that defensive manner now. He was the one that was actually dropping a little bit deeper to start running the show, and I think that might be under instruction from Maresca rather than maybe his natural instinct as such, because I don't think we saw that under Pochettino that often last season. It was more a reliance on Cole Palmer to go and score the goal rather than create it at times.
I mean, I've got to say, like, I'll come to you, Flawless, on Chelsea. Let me just bring some super chats in. Oh no, brought that one in. This one from Suj. Over 160 people. Get the likes up, people. There's well over 200 now. Make sure you get the likes up. Problems at Spurs is deeper than the manager. Yeah, 100% agree with you, Mark. And big up to both of you for being members of the channel, man. Much appreciated. The love over at 12th man as well from both of you. Flawless, what do you make of Chelsea? Do you see him as Champions League this season?
Yeah, I had him fourth. Yeah. I had him fourth, and I think yesterday's game shows why. I didn't watch it, but obviously I've seen the highlights. Shows why they won't go further. As good as their team is, as good as Maresca's done, they still need that little bit more quality. Obviously, we know about Palmer, like Dan mentioned as well, but they're the games that you need to win to then go on if you want to compete. and at the top end of the table. But I think they're currently sitting fourth in the league right now, and that's where I think they'll finish. And it shows they didn't lose the game, which is good. Obviously, you want to be beating Nottingham Forest at home, same way you want to be beating Palace at home. But Enzo's literally just got there this season. So if I'm a Chelsea fan, yes, it's disappointing to not win the game, but it's one of those, both teams had chances you could easily lose. And last season on the Poch, they probably lose that game. They probably get beat. So with that, as a Chelsea fan, you got to look forward to that. It's been a good start to the season. International break, I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, their fixtures are very tough. And we'll find out. I know they play Liverpool. I know they play you lot as well. They play Arsenal in that run in Manchester United coming up where they have a terrible record. But, let's not talk about United. But, yeah, what's it called? Chelsea, unfortunately, I've said this. I think they're a good side. It seems Enzo Maresca is the real deal. And I had him nailed on for fourth before the season started. And they're showing that. They're roundabouts where they should be to me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be between them and Villa at the moment that gets that fourth place. And I think if fifth place allows Champions League as well, I honestly believe the top five sewn up. Before I come to judges,
so I hear you.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah. Before I come to judges, Martin, big up to you, man, for jumping on. Cole Palmer, I spoke to you last night. I've spoken to you before about this. How good do you think this player could be? Because you know him more than anybody. Obviously, we realise now that although we think Pep has probably made a bit of a boo-boo with Palmer, we know the reasons why he went and why he wasn't going to get a chance at Man City. How good do you think he can be, bro?
I think he can be excellent. I think he can continue what he's doing. He's now doing it for a second season. Started off really, really well. We'll see what happens. It's the world is basically his oyster. It's up to him what he wants to do. But to me, I'm just more proud because the City Academy is blossoming. Got Morgan Rogers at Villa doing wonders.
Yeah, I didn't realise he was at City.
Every top youngster that's in England, the Premier League right now, 99% are out the City Academy.
And the staff have been hired by Chelsea.
Yeah. You've got all the staff that have been hired everywhere. Arteta's at your gaff, Maresca's at his gaff. Right. You've got Ange at Tottenham. He's out the CFG. Right. Is anyone not wanting to take anyone out of City's? Flawless can't say anything. He took our chief exec. Right,
we just hired like your head of under 14s academy. We hired Joe Shields. We've hired another one from City. Yeah. We've obviously got Maresca in the building now. It's like anything that was being done over there, we've just managed to pull into Chelsea now. For obviously,
United done it. They took Omar Barada, they took Wilcox. Arsenal got Arteta. Ange at Tottenham. It's like just everyone's just taking all our players. Lavy is
Porro was at City's academy, wasn't he?
Porro was one of City's. You can't beat City. We'll just try and nick all of City instead. We'll steal everyone. So no, it's a compliment to me. But no one cares about little old City, but you're all nicking all our staff, managers, directors.
Well, that's where they're all getting in there. They're all leaving when you ain't got a club, Martin. That's what they're doing, you know what I mean? So
I'm sure we had a club in the 90s when we got 34,000.
You
can't play that with me, judges, because I was there. I was sat there in the stadium.
I'm a big fan of that Morgan Rogers, by the way. I didn't know he was at City like that. I mean,
I had no idea.
I love
he was garbage at City. I watched him against Girona in a friendly when we came back from the World Cup. He was garbage. He was no good. Yeah.
What's his name? Wasn't Pedro Porro at Man City as well? Did I make that up? Yeah. That's mad, isn't it? There's so many of these players now that are coming up, and you think, oh, where's he from? City.
City did try and get a buyback on Cole Palmer, but Chelsea wouldn't do the deal. Because it was weird because he came to us and said, I want to play. City said, because that was it. Mares went, we bought Doku. That pissed him off. He wasn't happy about that. He was upset that Doku came in the door, which you get. So he said, I'll go. Pep wanted to just loan him. He said, no, I want to play. And I said, you don't tell Pep you want to play. So he said, if you can't play, sell me. We tried to do a deal with Chelsea where we got a buyback. Because if you notice, every team City sell to, we do have a buyback somewhere. We had one on, but I think that's why the fee was like 45 going up to 50. It got so high because it was a very un-City deal where we just do straight cash. Normally we have bonuses, add-ons, buybacks, everything going down the road. Like I said, we made 8 million out of Douglas Luiz in the summer. He's not been at City for 2.5 years. We made 8 million out of him.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. We'll just have to see. We'll have to see.
Look, I think he could be ridiculous. I think he could be anything he wants to be. I don't really get the comparisons with Saka because they play in a different position and I think they're completely different players. Never understood the Saka and Foden debate either because they play in different positions and they are completely different players. But everyone's better than Saka. Saka's awful. Why are we still got him at Arsenal? Why would we want that dusty player? Everyone's better than him, right? Bizarre for me. Maybe Saka is actually the benchmark that everyone wants to be because people are obsessed with him. Very, very bizarre. But there we go. Listen, I've got to say that I actually am surprised by Chelsea. I said that they wouldn't get top 4 without a striker and a goalkeeper that I rate. I still kind of stand by that. I don't think they're guaranteed to get Champions League, but I don't know what you think, judges, with Chelsea, because I know that you thought they'd be in and around there where they are now.
Yeah, I did, and I think like when you've got a squad like that, you've got to like. But I have to say, some of the goalkeeping was unbelievable. Some of the saves in that game were just incredible. Last minute saves were just incredible. It was an incredible game of football, that, to be fair. Forest ain't a bad side, you know. I had them as my dark horses to go down. So I've got that completely wrong. But with Chelsea, I just feel that they was on the right tracks last season. I think people didn't realise that. Well, under Pochettino, they was like the 4th best team in the league going from January onwards. And I think they was quietly going about their business. And they've just added a few more to it. And the manager's coming. I still think that along the line, when the squad might, because you've got too many players there, and maybe a few will fall out, and it can be a little bit tough. But if he can manage that, I think that there'd be a difficult team. Chelsea will be tested over the next few weeks. A couple of suspensions coming up now, like, you know, and a couple of big games from that. But if they was to get over that, then they're definitely in with a shout, like, you know, of definitely being in top 4 and challenging.
I agree. I agree.
Sorry, Dan. I think the Conference League's a blessing in disguise from this season because Palmer's not in the squad in the Conference League till January, and the fact that they can play essentially 2 different 11s. No, the Nottingham Forest game was similar to the Palace game. Just they need to find, like Dan said earlier, in terms of like these low blocks, they do struggle to a degree, but when teams come out and play against them, I mean, last year that they were very good against teams that played against them. I think they only lost a couple of games against the big 6 sides, but I think right now, I think they're going to finish top 4. I think they'll win the Conference League, and you know, there's a bit of a feeling in the Chelsea fan base that they want to win the Conference League just so they can say that we are the club that's won all 3 European trophies, but. Yeah, the fact that Palmer will be rested and only play 1 game a week, I don't even think he'll play the cup game against Newcastle. I think he may be rested in that. The Liverpool game and the next 8 or 9 games will be a big test. I think they're without Cucurella as well from suspension. Similar to Liverpool, we're going to find out what Maresca and Ange are made of. Liverpool have got 1 hell of a run of games. And Chelsea have got a difficult run. If both of those teams come out the other side with majority wins and maybe a defeat and a couple of draws, then I think we need to put a hell of a lot more respect on those clubs. But right now, Chelsea only City have scored more goals than them in the league. It's a young manager. It's a fairly young squad, but yeah, I think they're doing well. I think they're going to get top 4 as a bare minimum.
Yeah, I think Villa and Chelsea are fighting out for that 4th and 5th place. I really do, man. But flawless. Ten Hag is still here, bro. That Porto result, Harry Maguire, Slaved has stuck him into the Villa game, and now you've drew that one as well. Johnny Evans this time putting in what I thought was a monster performance. I got to pick him up for that. He was one of the best players I thought by far. How do you feel, man? You're 14th. You're Ten Hag now still here. Is this just painfully getting more painful and painful, or what do you think's happening, bro?
Yeah, you can't get more painful because I'm just already broken. So it's not even a painful thing. And you know this because we spoke. So you're an idiot and a prick for saying that. But like, you know that I'm broken. So it's not a question of more pain, because it's like anyone with any form of sense and a brain and 2 eyeballs seeing what was on the horizon. And I said this all summer long. People was talking about, I sound like a broken record. I could legit replay what I've said previously, the week before that, and all summer long. Why was it going to be different with the same manager? Yes, we made additions. Yes, I believe we made good additions, but it's still the same manager. And you see, it's literally at the same start as last season. It's literally, I think he's got 1 point less, but he broke his own record that he broke last season in regards to the worst Manchester United league start since, I think it's like 89, because it was Ollie had one, and now he's got two last season, and this season it's the exact same. Like, why did you expect the performances to be different? The fact that you mentioned the Porto and the Villa games, and we got draws in both those games. Why? Two performances not good. The Villa performance, yeah, normally you would say going to Villa Park, getting a point is a very, very good point. But this is not, add context, this is not a normal season. If Manchester United were actually playing well and putting in better performances and getting results in more games and was higher up the table, if we go get a point, I go, yeah, that's fair. But defensively, yeah, we were sound. You mentioned Johnny Evans. Johnny Evans has been like that since he's come back. He's always played well. You can count on one hand the amount of bad games. Anytime I see him in the line, people like crashing on him because of his age and because his name is Johnny Evans. But anytime he plays, he's fine. I have no qualms and no worries when he plays. However, on the other side of things, in the Aston Villa game, woeful going forward. Went there to survive. And Villa were bad. I expected much, much more from Villa.
Yeah.
I thought Villa would be better. Thankfully, they wasn't, because if they was playing at a certain level, we potentially could have took a battering. But we went there to survive. There was no intent to go and win the game, which is terrible. I was saying we play respectfully. We're playing Aston Villa, not Real Madrid, and we just went there just to go and get. Oh, it's a good point. Gonna go there, sit behind the ball, defensive, forget. And you see in our biggest weakness, which is our attack. Our attack's been woeful like this since the manager got here. His first season, even though it was a good season, awful. Second season, awful. This season, awful. Haven't done enough to address that. And when your front four is Bruno, Garnacho, Rashford, Højlund, horrible. I said I never wanted to see that. As a quartet, that is woeful. Individually, that's bad. But when you look at it as a quartet, it is absolutely, even if you rate those four players, profile-wise, they don't fit. Nobody's a good fit for anybody. Bruno don't help Rashford be better. Rashford don't help Bruno. Højlund don't help Rashford, and all around of it is absolutely what. Then you're bringing on Anthony. You're bringing on Xerxes, who's out there by himself. Diallo, who's been clearly our best attacker, can't get a game. Why? Yeah, this manager's still here. I said I'd give him 48 hours from yesterday. So it's Tuesday. Obviously, I know you have to go through a process, but you got 48 hours to sack this man. There's no way, as much as I've criticized Ineos, as much as I have my doubts about Ineos, as much as I didn't want them in the first place, this now goes beyond Barada and Wilcox and everybody who was there making the decisions because they panned to him. Everybody's there. Joe Glazers flew over. He must be getting sacked because this, like I was saying, this goes beyond them being CEOs, COO, owners. This is just human being to human being. It's common sense. Like, how can you not sack this man? It goes beyond it. You don't need qualifications. You don't need to be experienced. You don't need to be best in class in your role. You don't need to be millionaires or thousands. Surely common sense kicks in and you say, you know what? Let's sack this manager because he's not good enough. How much more evidence do you need to see? You had a golden opportunity to sack him in the summer. You decided to keep him. Absolute foolishness, idiotic decision. You gave him a structure. You added two managers next to him. You let him spend more money. You brought him in more talent. You had a golden opportunity. And then he's just gone and done the exact same thing as last season. This is now a platinum opportunity. Don't make the same mistake twice. There's no way you can make it. The little faith, the little respect I have for Ineos, if he's still here come the Brentford home game after the international break, I'll lose it all for them. I'm like, you lot are literally Glazers 2.0 at this point. If you do indeed decide to keep him. But like,
who do you want though? Who do you want though, Flawless? Like, real talk. Who do you want?
In regards to, I would give the job to Rude as interim, and then I go get Amorim in the summer. That's what I would do.
Okay, fair play. I mean, like, I come to Judges and Martin on this one first because I actually don't think, I think it's terrible at the moment, but I think if the people who are in charge are as good as we are told they are, then Man United could, in a couple of seasons, be back to where they want to be if they get everything right in terms of manager appointment and recruitment. If they're not as good as what people say they are, then I fear for them. But I'll come to you first, Martin, because you know a lot more than most on the panel. What are you saying about United being back to their best?
Did I say this question? Are you
Yeah.
Are you asking,
I'm
are you
asking.
asking are they back to the best? Or
No.
will they-
When, like, how do they do
get
that?
back to their
When,
best?
how do they get back to their best?
I said it wasn't a short-term fix. It was a journey. It was a process. And I'm not taking the mickey out of Arsenal when I say that. I don't mean, like Arsenal have done this process. United do need to do that. United literally need to go from start and just be patient. Because the trouble is, I'm going to be careful because as I mentioned this weeks ago, Ineos, I think, have been very clever. And I think the Glazers have been very clever. Keep saying it. Who's the one pulling the strings behind? Nobody knows. On the face of it, everyone thinks it's Ineos. But is it? No one really knows. The fans are being told it's Ineos. But again, Glazers are the major guys. They're the majority shareholders. So I don't know. And when I'm hearing things like, this new stadium and all this other stuff, I think it's going to take a long time. I think, let's be honest, the 14th, it's not, I'm trying to be nice and I'm trying to be respectful. But when I'm hearing United fans, when they beat Barnsley 7-0, say they're back, and then 2 weeks later, they're 14th, what can I do? I can't even banter my mates anymore because I just can't. For me, I'm going to be honest, they're not going to like this. I think it's a 5-year plus journey to get back to the top.
Minimum.
Or too challenging at the top. Because here's the thing. City and Arsenal aren't going to stand still for 5 years and let United go. All right, you catch up now. Chelsea are on their rebuild now. You're starting to see Chelsea's progression through the last 2 or 3 years where they've had a little bit of issues. They've rode it. They're now starting to come out the other side if they stick on the road they want to do, and it works. By the time United are anywhere there where Chelsea are, where are City and Arsenal going to be? Where's Liverpool going to be? So then they've got to start another journey then to keep compete, because this is the problem. I think it's going to sound really crazy, this. United will always be the biggest club in England on a lot of levels. But on the field, I'm not sure they're ever going to get back to where they were.
Wow.
And that's me being genuinely honest. Because I think City, Arsenal, and Liverpool are now too far ahead.
Whatever
on the field.
You mean that when you say that? In what saying? What's the time frame on this?
10, 15 years.
Could be.
But my point is, as I said, Arsenal, Liverpool, and City aren't going to stop. We ain't going to stop and let you catch up.
Chelsea aren't going to stop spending either.
It doesn't necessarily mean they improve though, because we've seen them spend.
No, but if Chelsea go and get a ball playing centre half who can actually, like a younger version of Thiago Silva when he was at Milan, someone of that ilk, and they do spend money, and they get probably another fullback who can play both sides and a midfielder, they're not miles away.
Absolutely not. But I don't think it's ever as bad. I don't think it's ever as I don't think we're as far away as people make out. I think it's just very, very bad.
If I'd have said to you 10 years ago, you're not going to win a title for 10 years, you'd have laughed at me.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have.
Yeah, 100, so how is it? Listen, people in the comments can have a go all they want because they're being disillusional. 10 years without a title. That was unheard of 10 years ago. Absolutely. You'd have called everyone crazy.
Without doubt, because of the amount of trophies that we won.
You were 14th.
But that's bad. But that's bad decision. That's just bad. That's bad decision making. But getting a good manager and a couple of good windows turns it around.
The thing with Man United is, and I think with Arsenal, I sort of agree with Martin in a way, because when I look back at Arsenal in that period of it all, there were a couple of shining lights: a Saka, a Smith Rowe, a couple of players coming through. Odegaard then signed, and there was a few. I don't see any decent Man United player at this moment in time that's going to go like, right, in 2 or 3 years, who's going to be there that's going to take these forward? And I look at them, and if you be really honest about it, they're going to have to change the whole back four. The whole back four has got to be changed. Virtually a midfield rebuild as well, and up front as well. It's a massive, massive job for anybody. And I agree with what Martin's saying. Manchester City ain't, might go away, might not. But if they don't, they're not going to go away. They're not going to just not be about. And I think that, as you say, with Chelsea, they're not going to be. Arsenal are going to be around for 3 or 4 more years, whatever happens, because their players are young enough to grow and get better. Liverpool ain't going away. People thinking like, they got rid of Klopp. They're not going to go. They've recruited a very, very shrewd manager there. And I think now it's time Man United have just got to sit there and go, do you know what? We're going to have to go fight 5 years of pain, but I think they've got to do it with a younger man, someone that's got a bit more about him, a little bit more, like, I never thought Arteta was the right man for Arsenal when he first come in. I didn't. I thought he was inexperienced. I didn't. And after a year, I thought it wasn't going to work. But looking back on it and everything that he done, he was ruthless and whatever. I think that they've got to do that with Man United as well. I look at it and I think, right, one player, I'm going to pick him up, and I don't mean it to be horrible because I do rate him, Rashford, but the manager's got to come in and say enough's enough and be ruthless. And that's what Arteta done, whether we liked it or not. Dan, there were certain things we didn't like, but he done it with the likes of Guendouzi, who was a talent. You worried about Guendouzi and what he's doing now? No. You worried about what Aubameyang's doing now? No. It's going to be a real painful.
Do you not think, though, Lee? Like, if they got, let's say they put Rude in charge, they write this season off like Flawless has, they get in Ruben Amorim and they actually get a structure behind them that has recruitment in 2 windows, and all of a sudden you think, wow, they're now floating around 5th or 6th, they're going for top 4. Then the next season they get another couple of windows behind them with the money they spend. I'm just thinking, like, Man United always spent money. If they spend it wisely, I think they can have a good team. But
who's been in charge this summer?
How much have you spent now?
But again, that's the previous regime. This summer, obviously, football's a system game. The players we signed this summer, the only one that I look at and I go, all right, he's been woeful so far and he's only started 1 game, is Agate. I look at Liverpool, for example. But it's not. It's the over-exaggeration of it, because look at Liverpool.
Yeah, but 6 million on 18-year-old with 1 year left in a deal.
We have it. Yeah, we did. But have you
That's
watched?
Not good business.
Have you watched Euro play? How can we say that? You ain't watched Euro play, so how can we say it's bad?
Anyone paying 60 million quid with 1 year on his deal is madness.
How can we say it? It was actually, I think it was 60 million euros, so it was like 45
that's
million.
Madness.
But how can we say it's madness when it's a play we ain't watched?
Boy?
How can we say it's madness and it's a play we haven't watched?
He was on the verge of joining Real Madrid, by the way, so he can't be that shabby.
45 million for a year left on his deal.
45 million isn't abnormal anymore, is it? Chelsea have been paying that for the last 2 seasons for 18-year-olds.
It's not mad.
It's not abnormal, Mark.
It's abnormal because
if Real
don't do that kind of thing.
Because if Real Madrid signed him, no one would be saying it's abnormal. But because we signed him, it's a bad deal. Because Real Madrid
say he's cost 15 million over the odds. And then for the next 10 years, he's one of the best centre-backs in the world. And then you sell him for triple that to Real Madrid at one point in his career. You're going to look back and go, wow, that was a pretty good deal getting him over Madrid at that point in time.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know how we comment. And there's so much to talk about. And we're talking about Euro, a player who hasn't played, who we haven't watched, and calling it a bad deal. He was 45 million. Now, if he comes in and he's a good player, money well spent.
I'll tell you
if he comes in and he's a bad player, guess what? Money
that's my opinion, Flawless.
But how can you have an opinion on I hear you, but how can you have an opinion on a player who's not
too much money for a 1 year contract left in his deal?
But all right, so say he's a good player.
My club don't do that sort of thing.
Let's say he's a good player. Let's say he's actually he's a player.
If he turns out and performs, then it's a bargain. But I'll tell you what, he's abnormal. He's putting Timo Werner on 175 grand a week. That's fucking abnormal, mate. When the geezer can't cross a road, letting alone a football. That Chelsea video has gone viral again, by the way, Dan. You know that one where he's in the crowd and he goes, the club. Oh, you get out, Yeah, you send him back to Leipzig, then he joins us, and he's absolute stinkfest.
An abnormal transfer, by the way, is Mason Mount. That was a 1-year deal left.
That's it. Again, we
That's
got so much to
abnormal
talk
yeah.
about, like in regards to Manchester United and bad deals we've done outside of this season. I actually like what Ineos have done in terms of the window we had in incomings and outgoings, but football is a system game, and when you have this manager in charge, go get the best players in the world. Go get whoever you think the best player is in the world as a centre-back, as a central midfielder, whoever you think the best striker is. Go get Vinicius Jr. Is he performing at a high level in the side? No, because we are not set up to help. We are not set up for players to play their best. Talking about us being that far away, like I said, you go and get a good manager in and you have a couple good windows, it can all turn around that easy.
Say again? You've had Mourinho.
Nah, we have Mourinho's not a good manager no more. He's not.
You've had Louis Van Gaal.
Van Gaal's not of the level no more either. He's not. What's Van Gaal done since he's left Manchester United? What's Mourinho done since he left Manchester United? Not good enough for where Manchester United are trying to go. And in regards to signing players and bringing players in, when Klopp went to Liverpool, who were their players that they could look at and go, yeah, he's a top quality player? Or did they have fantastic?
Flawless, would you say that, correct me if I'm wrong, but would you say Moyes is the most successful manager after his period at Manchester United post-Fergie era?
Nah, Mourinho.
Nah, Mourinho.
What, Mourinho? What, since he left?
Because Mourinho won the conference
with Roma.
Yeah, so did Moyes.
Yeah, but so did Moyes.
Yeah, he won it with
And he
West
got
Ham.
to
Between those two,
yeah, like they're
but
pretty
Mourinho
similar.
made the Europa League final.
Sorry, since they've left the job. So
I
I thought you meant
Mourinho.
No, just
rattled a few that 10-year comment.
Mourinho made the Europa League final as well the year after.
Yeah, but come on,
yeah,
West
even
Ham
that
should
is
never
like
be
they're
in Euro
all they're
final.
not like again.
But
It's
to
like
win the
Manchester-
trophy of West Ham, like
That's
I know
exactly-
Roma was a
First
big
time in
achievement as well.
44 years.
You know what,
43
Dan?
years, whatever it was.
You may be right still.
No, it
You
is
might
Moyes.
actually be right.
It is
You
Moyes.
might be
I
You know
heard
what
it.
it is?
I
Oh,
thought this question was different.
Blame
Yeah,
a
it is
trader
Moyes.
behind the 10 years. Because I know that's upset people. I get it. But I've heard this. It's the same rhetoric with every new manager that's walked in the door over the last 10 years. Give him a good season. Give him a good budget on this. Give him that. And it's the same thing. And it's the same stuff at the end. What you get is you spend a bit of money, get a couple of results. United are back. Everyone jumps around the streets for a couple of weeks. And then bang, everyone's right back to where they were.
Absolutely. But those man, but that doesn't.
What confidence? So what? How many times can you say give the guy a new manager money to spend? You've had
until
money.
we get it right.
How much money?
But wait. Until we get it right, why are we acting like we haven't sacked managers before? Why are we acting like that's not the way of modern day football? Arsenal are still trying to get it right. You looked out on Pep. Before Pep and before the Arabs come in, what were you lot doing? Sacking managers trying to get it right. You lot had a long list of managers. Spurs are trying to get it right. Chelsea did it under Abramovich. But why was Manchester United is a thing? Say that again. So you didn't sack managers before the Arabs get. So you lot weren't sacking managers during a period trying to get into the Premier League when you were in the old Division 1. You lot had the same manager, or did you sack managers?
You know why are you going back to the 90s?
No, because what the point, the reason why I'm going back to the
sorry, you do know when we got taken over, we were in the UEFA Cup, but never mind.
Yeah, I'm not saying you wasn't.
Just see the narrative there.
It's not to fair narrative. I'm making that a point. Is did you sack managers previously or not? Did you sack managers in the 90s? Yes or no? Did you sack managers in the early 2000s? Yes or no? Yeah, but the point is, I'm making a point. Is you lot have sacked managers before? How did you get to Pep? You sacked managers before that. Pellegrini was deemed not good enough.
Pellegrini was deemed not good enough. Because Pep,
you know what I'm saying? But like I said before that, the point I'm making is you sack managers. How come we can't sack managers to get it right? So when you ask and when you say, oh, well, you've had managers before and you've kept sacking them and they spent money. Yes, that's the way it goes.
Do you think that's the right way for Manchester United to go?
Absolutely, till we get it right. Yes.
Yeah.
I know who again. I've never said that. Never once have I said that. You listen to idiotic fans, and you can do that. But I've never once said Manchester United are back. This is why I've been critical. But the whole way of trying to get around it is that
because I said 10 years.
It's not touchy. I just disagree. That's all. I disagree with it's definitely 10, 15 years away. I disagree with the whole the strong stance on it. You know what I'm saying? And that's cool, but it's not a touchy about it because someone would have said that about Liverpool when they got Klopp.
What Martin thinks is it will take long. Flawless is saying, yeah, it might take long, but I think what you're saying is that what you want to see is Rudin, Amarim given the job and backed with different recruitment stream ahead of him to try and take Man United back. That's what I'm guessing you're saying, yeah, Flawless.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So it's not tetchy. Same way you got tetchy when I mentioned that City sacked managers when it was in the 90s and the 2000s, which they did.
But we're going back to the 90s though.
But okay, then 2000s and 10s. Did you sack
Yeah,
managers?
you went through your
2010?
fair share of managers in the quest
Did
for
you or
success.
not? Or did you keep the same manager from 2010 till Pep got there? Like, what are we
First
talking
manager,
about here?
First manager we had under Shane Mansour was Mancini.
Yeah. And did you sack Mancini?
And when we won the league.
And did you sack
We won the
Mancini?
FA Cup.
Did you sack Mancini?
Yeah, got Pellegrini, and then we did the
okay.
double.
And then Pellegrini got sacked, and then you went to Pep.
So we've had three managers in nearly 20 years.
Okay, and how many of them are Pep? 8.
Oh.
How many of them are Pep?
Listen, you're going around. Everybody
nearly 10 years.
Everybody said
and exactly because he's been successful and he's
so
one
what
of
he says the other previous 10 years we had 2 managers.
Yeah, so you sacked managers to try and get it right. But
I remember when Peter Reid got sacked.
What are we talking about here?
3 managers in 20 years and we're sacking managers.
Cool. But you have sacked managers beforehand. I didn't say a lot.
In 20 minutes.
Because they were successful. That's why. You know what I'm saying? They were. I
How
guarantee.
many managers have you had in the last 10? Have you had more managers than us in the last 10 years?
Nah, surely not. Spurs always win that one, surely.
I think we might win that one. I think Chelsea
4.
might win that.
I think we've had definitely.
No, we had 3 or 4. Oh no, we both had 3 in the same season, didn't we? Tottenham and Chelsea.
Yeah, you lot are crazy.
Conte and Ryan Mason.
Yeah, actually thinking about it, I think Spurs might win it. I think Spurs and United are close on this. Actually,
no, they can't win.
Yeah.
I think Chelsea win this.
Nah, Chelsea have won that. I think we've had. I think in the last 10 years, I think it's 4.
Since 2014, so we had Poch until I think Chelsea definitely win it because we had Poch. If we went from like 2018 onwards, we may win it.
Chelsea have got to win it. They sacked man.
And then we go from 2014.
Yeah.
So we've had Mourinho, Steve Holland, Gus Hiddink, Antonio Conte, Sarri, Lampard, Tuchel, Potter, Bruno, Lampard, Poch, Enzo.
Well done, Chelsea. Congratulations.
How many was that?
Wow.
I actually don't know. Some appeared twice.
12.
Can I ask Martin a question? How much payback do you get on what's his name? Traore.
I had 9.
How much payback you got on Traore? Because he must have been one of
your
players, after Saturday, he's on the payroll, surely.
Who was the referee on Saturday for you, judges? Because I didn't see a rant on your fan cam when he gave you that offside goal. You were quite happy with that ref then.
I'm going to say something about that. I forgot to mention it. Do you know the goal that Southampton scored?
Yeah.
Yeah, they went within seconds. They went offside. It was cleared, and they took an age to clear our one. The Southampton one cleared. You know what I mean? Like, let's get the lines out. There might be a chance.
I've just never seen you never so happy about a referee as you were on at the weekend.
He worked. I don't even know. Do you know what? I'm going to.
You don't know his name.
He was a new ref.
I don't know who he was. So he must have been a good referee.
Yeah, it was his first game or second game or something.
Was it? I didn't
know who he was, and I said to someone, "Who's that ref?" And they went, "Oh, this is only like."
He must have done a bloody good job, like that.
We like him. We like him.
He was all right. He was all right. He was all right. I don't like Traore though. Like bloody hell. I should have had
Traore, man. I mean, another day.
Full time. Pep had a word with him at full time on the pitch.
Oh yeah, the brown envelope will be on your way. It'll be there in a couple of days. Is what he actually said to him, like that.
Mate, he'd be shaking his hand, man.
Just slipping it under the mat for you, like, you know what I mean. So
Man City, I mean, come on,
play
man.
bad and win. Great, 30 games unbeaten, 50 games unbeaten at home. It's not a bad life.
No, it's not bad life. That was a good game. It was a good game. I thought Fulham gave him a good game, to be fair. It was a good game.
And you know what? In all seriousness, I've said this. For me, and I can only talk for me, I think the Arsenal stuff about the sitting back wasn't, from my point of view, wasn't slander against Arsenal. I personally think teams get more joy at the Etihad attacking. And I've said it for 12 months.
Yeah, they do. I'd
say
that's true.
When you
give
look
up chances,
all the games this season, Brentford, Ipswich, Fulham even, all came out and had a go. None of them sat back. And they've all scored 2 goals. Yeah, I know you give the chance of you're going to see 2 and 3 the other way. But that's what the trouble is. Last season, when City were winning 5-0, 6-0, we were boring and we were wrong for the league and no one could compete. And now we're going to 3-2s, 2-1s. City are crap, so City can't win anymore. If we concede goals, we're crap. If we win 5-0, we're boring and we're demolishing the league. So I can't win anymore.
Do you not think it's concerning that you've only had one Premier League clean sheet?
No, I'm not bothered about clean sheet. You see, I've City fans this weekend have had a meltdown over performance. You don't get a trophy at the end of the season for your performance. Otherwise, Arsenal would have been champs last season because they were the best footballing team in the league.
Yeah, it's about results. I get that. And
I always remember Brian Clough said the opposition can have the ball for 99%, but in our 1%, we score a goal and win 1-0. That's all that matters.
That's it, yeah. And I know the thing is with City, Martin, like even I tell you what, I was at the game on Saturday and it come through like City are 1-0 up. Sorry, it's 1-0 down. My first thing out there, win that 3-1. I mean, they went down to Ipswich 1-0 down. Yeah, win it 3-1 or whatever, like, you know.
It's exciting for me.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think that City will. I don't mean the scare factor's still there, but I'm not. I think teams won't be as scared of City this year because of Rodri missing.
I don't think. Do you know what it is for me? It's not the Rodri factor. Said this. I don't think missing Rodri is the factor. We're missing KDB and Foden.
Yeah, as well. Yeah,
that's what the main thing is because we won 5-6 games in a row without Rodri. It's since KDB's disappeared is when we've stopped because we're not creating.
Do you remember that game against Newcastle last? I think that I still look at that as a big turning point. It's about January time. They was losing the game, and he come on.
That Oscar Bob goal, that pass was just.
And he ended up winning 3-2, and you think, Mike, and that was a game changer for me, like, you know. So I do think that you're missing him as well, like, you know, and but he's getting on now, so which is good.
We've got Aki to come back after the internationals. Aki's back, KDB's back. Oscar Bob's back. November.
Yeah, it's a good time international break for you guys.
We've already said we've got money to spend in January that we're going to go and spend. So we'll see. Hopefully, we the rumours are. I don't know about this Richer fella at Torino because he's still young. I still think that's a bit of a gamble. But if it's him, Barella, Zubimendi, whoever it is. We'll
get someone.
We'll get somebody.
Yeah, you'll get somebody in January, yeah.
First, I would like a backup striker as well. Just on the proviso. If Haaland gets injured, we're screwed.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I was really surprised.
He's off to Norway, like, you know, internationals, and like players get injured playing for Norway. Just saying, like, you know, just saying.
They do, man. Just to close, because
you know.
Over the mark. Just lastly, I'd like to get Henry's opinion on this before we close. Arsenal, think they could do it this season? Obviously, Leicester and Southampton, it weren't massive.
Before you carry on, Potts, yo, I got a dip, yeah?
Big
up to all you, man, yeah? Blessings every single time. Bless up to all you, man, yeah? Big up, bless.
Flawless. Big up,
Flawless, the man.
Yeah, can they do it this season? Lastly, Henry.
I don't think we should be looking at Arsenal. I think Liverpool have got if Liverpool are playing some good stuff as well.
I've become a Scouser as well now, have you?
No, I think Arsenal are playing. You know, they've changed their approach to games. They're playing without Odegaard. They've got him to come back. Obviously, City with that Rodri injury is huge, and like Martin said, De Bruyne and Foden will be back at some point, and you expect them to start. Like at the moment, City are winning games, but it's not the City we've seen the last 3 or 4 years. If Arsenal bring in 1 or 2 players in January of real quality that get in their 11, then I think they can do it. The one thing that I have a doubt is when it comes to March, City just go straight from 1st to 5th, and they've been there, seen it, and done it. But if they don't bring a player in to replace Rodri, I don't know. I think this if they do it this year, I think it's Guardiola's best league title, because I know they did it last year without De Bruyne, but when Foden come in, he was absolutely sensational. You know, player of the year. If they don't bring in someone for Rodri, I don't know. I think if I was to bring a couple of players, if you go and sign a Victor Gyökeres in January, then yeah, you can do it. 100%.
Yeah, I still think that's what we need. I still think we need a striker to win the league. I do.
I
I've
think
said that before.
January's going to be important for City and Arsenal, I think.
And Liverpool as well.
And Liverpool, yeah.
I think Liverpool are in it 100%. I just don't think they've been tested quite yet. That's all I will say.
But you can only beat what's in front of you. Like,
Yeah, but what I'm getting at, Henry, I expected them to win all them games. I didn't look at Liverpool and think, oh my God, how have they beaten Brentford, Wolves, and Ipswich and so? Do you know what I mean? I expected them to. Do you know what I mean? So with City and Arsenal, at least we've actually had a bit of a test so far. But look, taking nothing away from Liverpool, we'll learn a lot about them in the coming weeks. If we get to December and we're like, bloody hell, Liverpool are up there top of the league, what the hell's going? Then I'll say they can do it. I still just think maybe they're a 6 short, maybe they're a defender short, and maybe they're a 9 if Shota gets short. This is all of injuries.
They've had a bad run of fixtures, Liverpool, though, have they?
No,
that's what I'm saying now. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I've just said. They are going to have a hard time between now.
It's got to come somewhere along the line because they've had like games that, if I'll be honest, you'd expect them to win, really.
Exactly that. 100%.
Still, though, they haven't struggled a huge amount in games. Like City have gone behind.
Yeah, I get that.
Liverpool have been very, very good.
I respect what Slot's done. I do. I'm not disrespecting Liverpool. I respect what Slot's done so far. The biggest compliment I can give him is they haven't looked much different than what Klopp did with Liverpool, in my opinion, right? But I think the big test comes now. They've got Leverkusen and Real Madrid in front of them alongside Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle, and I think it's Man
City. I love that fixture, by the way. I love the fact that City can sit back the next couple of weeks and we just watch, because Chelsea have got hard fixtures, you've got Liverpool. And the thing is, Henry's spot on. City are way off it, but we had the same conversation this time.
City have got a couple of nice games coming up.
It is Groundhog Day. Honestly, if I go back 12 months, everyone would say, something wrong about City. Do you know what it is with City?
Yeah, but you didn't have the Rodri injury, though, Martin.
We won 5 in a row without him.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think eventually you'll start to see that become an issue unless you replace him in January.
I personally think we got enough without Rodri.
Who plays in that midfield? Do you think Lewis will play majority of the season?
Lewis, Stones. I think he'll rotate depending on who plays.
City have got some really good games coming. Like their next 3 games.
Scored 2 goals.
City's next 3 games are Wolves, right?
Who are in the pits at the moment.
Yeah.
But saying that, Wolves
are right. They've got Bournemouth in that as well. And who's the other one? Just see Southampton. They've got 3. We got Newcastle, Chelsea, and Liverpool in that. So this is going to be a real. City have got the time to rack up some points here.
City have got some nice fixtures.
Yeah, they have got some nice fixtures.
I think December's one.
And you've also got Spurs that want to lose against you as well. You know what I mean? So
that's in the Carabao, though.
Yeah. So, no, and in the league as well. You know, so you know. Half do well. That's the Tottenham Stadium on that day.
It's a nice one, but the thing is, this time last season, I think we'd lost 2 games by this time last season. People were questioning it all, and there's a lot of uncertainty around City at the minute. But I just think this is what City do. We start off in first gear, and like Henry says, by February, March, we go into 5th gear and we go. Yeah. City always start slow. We always have. We've always been a bit slower start, but we're still winning games.
Yeah, City is still my favourites to win it. I hate saying it, but you know.
But you ask me my favourites, I'd say Arsenal right now.
Nah, I don't see us as favourites. I think
I'm giving you all the pressure. You want the pressure. You want the favourite. I'm giving it.
I don't want the pressure, man. I've said City win the league from day dot, mate, because I didn't think we did enough in the summer. But not all of our fan base are like that, mate. A lot of them are very, very much excited about how we're going to walk it and stuff. I don't get it, man. I think it's going to be very difficult for us still, man. But listen, big up to all of you for being here. Make sure you do me a favor and follow all of these guys, man. Make sure you're following Henry Talks Football. Make sure you're following BDB Dan, and make sure you are following Martin on the Mancunian Way. If you can, come and follow myself on 12th Man. I'll be back a bit later on tonight where Deji's going to get some cooking. Dan will be with me as well. It's going to be fun. And of course, make sure you've hit the like and the subscribe from this one. We'll see you next time. Take it easy. And we are out of here, people.